Hey guys, it's Dave. I'm back out again. I'm heading to physical therapy. Some of you know, I suffered a broken leg in early December. You might be wondering, well, hey, what happened? So I broke my femur. Like I said, that was in December, and now I have a roughly 12-inch titanium rod in my left thigh. 3 screws at the bottom, 1 screw at the top. I walk with a pretty decent limp unless I use my cane. I ride with my cane strapped to my back unless I'm just going for a short blast where I'm not going to be stopping. Anyway, so on to the story of how I broke my leg. So I'm in school, went back to school as an adult. I'm kind of the grandpa of the class, but that's alright. I don't get any shit. Nobody seems to kind of look down on me or anything, but I am going to a community college, so. Anyway, so I go back to school, and that kind of precludes me from being able to work full-time. Luckily, I'm in a situation where, my wife makes enough money that I can go to school part-time and work part-time. So I work part-time at a hobby shop, and it's early December, and it's a regular Friday night. It's somewhat busy, not too bad. And this customer comes in, and he just starts asking, 8 million questions. Now, normally I don't care. Hey, that's my job. Not everybody's going to know everything about the hobbies, and I kind of feel like no question's a stupid question, and my job is to educate them. So, I do my best to just be cool about it. Hey, maybe, I know this stuff, but I've been doing it for, 20 years or whatever. So, hold on, let me close these vents up. So I'm helping this guy out, and, he's there like an hour, and he's starting to ask the same questions 2 or 3 times, just worded differently. Like, it's just not getting through to him. And, again, that's fine. Maybe he's not understanding me. I'm fairly good at ferreting out how you need to talk to somebody for them to understand you. So, it's a little strange that I'm not getting through to this guy, because like I said, he's asking the same questions, just worded differently, over and over. So then he gets on the phone to his buddy, and it sounds like the money's a little bit of an issue, but he doesn't want to listen to, well, why don't you buy a cheaper car? He's looking at RC cars. Why don't you buy a little bit cheaper car? It's still fun. You can upgrade it down the road as you get more money. He's not hearing this. So he's on the phone with his buddy, and this is at he's been in there for an hour, easily. He's on the phone with his buddy. Well, do you want to split $350 or do you want to split $500? And he's like, okay, and he hangs up. And he decides, okay, I need to go think about this. He leaves. He comes back, he leaves again, he comes back. He comes in, he picks up a roughly $500 RC truck and a gallon of fuel, which is, it's what people normally do. He said, what fuel should I get? I pointed it out. He said, should I get the gallon or the quart? I said, yeah, get the gallon, And, so he gets it and he walks up towards the counter, and then he kind of walks back towards us and asks a couple other questions, and he walks up by the counter, and he's standing by the counter, and he asks a couple questions, and then all of a sudden he just turns and bolts out the door carrying this thing. And, like most stores, we don't have an official policy. Like, it's never been said, hey, don't chase after somebody that's ripping us off. But, it's kind of a common sense thing. It's kind of if you feel like you can do something to prevent us being ripped off safely, don't take any risks. But if you feel like you can do something to prevent the situation, you know, by all means, go for it. And normally, you know, I would have just been like, oh, hey, look at that. That guy just ripped us off. And let one of the other employees that was closer to the door run out to get his license plate number, which, you know, of course means he's going to get away with it, because you can give the cops the license plate number, and unless they happen to pull him over in the next 15 minutes, which, you know, the chances of that are pretty slim, they're not going to catch him with the item in his hands. It's going to be next to impossible to prosecute, so pretty much he's just going to get away with it. But I was kind of like, not this guy, because this guy had been pissing me off, asking the same stupid questions, like, almost like he was trying to annoy me for like an hour. And I was just like, not this guy. This guy, above all people, is not ripping us off. And it wasn't like a, oh, I'm going to be an upstanding citizen and, you know, do the right thing and prevent a crime. It was largely that I was like, no, I'm not. I will be seriously offended with life if this prick does this. If he gets away with this and rips us off. So, you know, one employee tears off out the door after him, and I know the guy that went out the door after him, he's not gonna have what it takes to stop this guy. He's gonna try, and the guy's gonna wiggle and let go. So I ran out the door after him, and sure enough, first guy grabs a hold of him, and he wiggles out of the guy's hand instantly and hops into the truck, which was parked, sitting across in the parking lot right in front of our door, running with the door open. So I'm pretty sure his buddy that he had on the phone pulled it up there and parked it there and left the door open for him, because he was there too long for it to have been like that. And even when he had gone out, it was 20 minutes earlier. I doubt that thing was sitting out front running for 20 minutes. But anyway, so I run past the first guy that didn't really get a good hand on him, and I grab a hold of him. That was a nice stall there, you like that? I grab a hold of him. Basically, I grab him by his head and rip him out of the truck. You know, I rip him out of the truck basically by his head, put him up against the side of the truck, and try to kind of get a hold of him. At this point, I think the first guy that grabbed a hold of him reached into the truck and got the, you know, $500 RC truck out of the vehicle, so that at least if he got out of my hands, he wouldn't get away with, you know, he wouldn't get away with the merchandise. So, you know, I'm wrestling with this guy. We're kind of standing, and I'm saying to myself, you know, don't hit him. Don't hit him. You know, we live in today's world where, you know, if I hit him, he can sue me. And, you know, in some states, if I'd have hit him, I could get arrested. And I was like, I'll be damned if I'm going to get arrested, you know, for hitting this kid. No matter how desperately bad he needed to be hit, I was just like, you know, just keep a hold of him. So then he's struggling, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, the cops are going to be 10 minutes away, so I need to get this kid to the ground. I start trying to take him down, and two big customers come to assist in getting a hold of this kid, and, you know, I start to take him down, and I don't know if he kicked my leg out from under me, which is what I think happened, and I go down, and I fall on a curb, most of my body up on the top side of the curb. He comes down on my leg below the knee, and I guess it was just, I mean, the femur is the strongest bone in your body, but I guess it was just like the leverage over the, I don't know, would you call it a fulcrum? You know, the leverage of him landing on my leg off the side of the curb, and me with the majority of my body weight being up the other side of the curb, it snapped my femur clean just above the knee. So that kind of sucked. Not gonna lie. Well, hey, I'm pulling into physical therapy here. I will pick this up where I left off here, you know, and I got out of physical therapy about an hour and a half. I'll talk to you guys in a bit. See you later.